So this is the ox coxae, and this is going to be part of the pelvic girdle. So the first thing is the obturer foramen, which is going to be the hole right here. And the direction of this that it's going to face is you have the femur that's going to articulate right here. So this side would be where your leg comes out. So this would be your anterior, and then the back side here would be the posterior. And that's important that you know the direction of which way it faces for the lab exams. So again, this is the obturer foramen. This is the acetabulum right here, and that's where the head is going to articulate with the femur. So there's three parts to it. So the top part to about here is your ilium, and then this side here is the ischium, and then this side here is the pubis. So that's why it's also important to know which way the direction of this faces. So for the ilium, which is this top part, so we talked about this being the anterior. So if we're looking at it from the head of the femur articulating there, the anterior superior iliac spine would be here, and then you have your anterior inferior iliac spine here. This top part would be the iliac crest, and if you put your hands on your hips, that's where your hand would rest. Back here, so this is the posterior side, this would be the posterior superior iliac spine, and this one here would be your posterior inferior iliac spine. So then you're going to have your iliac fossa, which is going to be this part of the bone here, and then you're going to have on the inside, so I just thought when I think about the gluteal lines, I think about the side where you have the femur attachment. So you're going to have your inferior gluteal line, and it's just going to be here. It's not very prominent on here. And then again, this is our posterior side, so the posterior gluteal line is here, and then you're going to have your anterior gluteal line right there. And then part of the ischium as the top part, this here is going to be the greater sciatic notch at the top there. So now if we're just looking at the ischium, that's the posterior side of the ox coxae. And so this would be the spine of the ischium. So just this pointy part right here. And then you're going to have your lesser sciatic notch, which is going to be the smaller curve under the greater curve. So right there. And then you're going to have your ischial tuberosity, which is going to be right here. And then your inferior ramus is actually going to kind of be divided right there, because this part is the pubis, so it would be this area right in here would be the inferior ramus. So then if you're looking at the pubis side, this would be your superior ramus and then the inferior ramus. So it's going to kind of split apart like that. And then you have your symphysis, which is actually going to be this part right here. And then you have your pubic tubercle, which is going to be right here. And then you have your pubic crest, which is just along this side here. So that's the ox coxae. And then you'll have to know the patella, and so this would be what goes over what people call their kneecap. And so the apex is where it kind of comes together. The base would be the top of it, and then your facets are actually on the inside, and usually the one that's a little bit larger is the lateral side, and this one's the medial. So then you can know which knee it would go on depending on the lateral and the medial sides of the facets there. And then the last thing on this section is the tibia. And so you're gonna have your medial and lateral condyles. So they're gonna be on the sides here. And this would be anterior view, and this here is a posterior view. So if the bone is resting like this, then you're gonna know it's the anterior, and you'll know the things on the front and the back. So this here is your medial malleolus, and so with this being medial, we'll know it's on the inside, and so we'll know then this will be our medial and lateral condyles up here at the top. And then you'll have your intercondylar eminence, which is actually these two little grooves here. And then you'll have your tibial tuberosity, which is right here. This kind of lump in the knee, or below the knee. And then you'll have on the posterior side your soleal line, which is actually right there, and you can kind of see it a little bit right along there. And so again, this there at the bottom would be your medial malleolus, and that's for this section of the bones.